If you've ever woken up and just thought, man, I wish there was another day of the weekend, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. We kick off another week here, and while there are a lot of earnings, there's not as many huge earnings. We do have a PPI print and a CPI print coming this week, so we'll see how it all shakes out here. It is great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. I hope that you all had a wonderful weekend over the course of the weekend. As mentioned, we are back for yet another big, exciting week here. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Monday edition for August 10th, 2026, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. It's great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here. I hope that you all had a wonderful weekend, and I hope that you're all ready to go for another week ahead. Solitary Soldier is first here today. Good morning. Early bird gets the worm there on a Monday. Good morning, Solitary Soldier. It's good to have you back. Azrar, good morning. Welcome back. Yes, that girl, good morning. Welcome back. Crispy Biscuit, good morning. It's always good to see you. Alan, welcome back. Good to see you. Pot G, good afternoon, and good morning to everybody else. Derek, good morning. Welcome back. Ed, good morning. Ed says it's Money Monday. Light the way, oh great one. You say that. I look around my room for Wayne Gretzky, who's not around here, but we'll do the best that we can. Zach McCracken, good morning. Welcome back. Robert, good morning. Welcome back. D-Tab, hello, and hopefully you enjoy yourself. Brett, good morning. Welcome back. Good to see you as always. Harlugo, happy Monday to you. Good morning and welcome back. Linda, good morning. Welcome back. Producers locked in, ready to go. You just love to see it. Dara, good morning. Francis, good morning. Marionette, good morning. Bernhard, welcome back. JB702, good morning and happy Monday. Tyler, good morning. Corey, it's great to see you as always. The Dev Joseph, good morning. C-Spot, good morning. Alvin, good morning. Shant, good morning. Just passing through, good morning. Barb, good morning. Robot to Trade, good morning. Durkus, good morning. Astro Kev, good morning. John Delight, good morning. Whisk, good morning. G Cord, good morning. Joe Marsh, good morning. Alan's asking if anyone's tracking ABCL. That's going to be one of our movers today. We got a lot of Chinese movers with no news here today, so I'm sure we'll break all of that down. Up 30, good morning. Who else am I missing here? Mitch, good morning. Anita, good morning. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. All right, futures a little bit mixed here ahead of Monday's open. S&P futures are holding on to the green, up by 0.04%, although they are off their Monday morning highs here. Dow futures in the red, down by 0.08%. That's actually trying to come off its lows right now. And the NASDAQ also still positive, but down from its earlier pre-market high. NASDAQ up 0.15%. Ahead of Monday's open here. So we'll see what happens as we get closer to the open. Do we hold in the green or do we move to red? We shall see. Now, let's take a look at some cues from last session, as well as what we can expect for this session and this week here. Consumer discretionary, information technology, and material stocks recorded the biggest gains on Friday to lead most S&P 500 sectors higher, while energy and communication services stocks bucked the trend to close lower. U.S. stock futures were mixed on Monday as the Dow index slipped, the S&P and the NASDAQ indices rose following Friday's higher close. Investors will be closely tracking the cost of living checkup this week, featuring a July inflation data along with updates on the consumer spending and sentiment. These reports will offer vital insight into whether consumer resilience can withstand mounting geopolitical pressure and elevated energy prices. Meanwhile, Iran stated that the Strait of Hormuz will not reopen unless the U.S. meets its demands, despite a deal with Oman entering its final stages. The geopolitical standoff comes as President Trump noted U.S. is only semi-negotiating with Tehran, keeping energy markets on edge. The 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.65%, and the 2-year bond was at 4.21%. The CME Group's Fed Watch Tool projections show that the markets are pricing in a 43.9% likelihood of the Federal Reserve hiking the current interest rates during its September meeting. So we'll see. That percentage is oscillating quite a bit now. Now, we do have several stocks in focus here for you today. The first one's going to be CheckCap. This is not a stock that we look at often. Ticker is MBAI. It fell 4.26% as it announced a 1-for-7 reverse share split. That is going to be effective August 12th, which is Wednesday this week. The next stock on our list here is going to be Rocket Lab, ticker RKLB. It rose 2.95% ahead of its earnings scheduled to be released after the closing bell. Analysts are expecting earnings loss of 8 cents per share on revenue of $231.1 million. The next stock on our list here is going to be Plug Power, ticker PLUG. It gained 6.42% ahead of its earnings scheduled to be released after the closing bell. Analysts are expecting a loss of 8 cents per share on revenue of $168.8 million. The next stock on our list is going to be BioKey International. The ticker is BKYI. It fell 7.92% as the company, along with its strategic partner Visual Forma, was awarded a new contract to enhance digital identity security for a Portuguese national security agency. The next stock on our list is going to be T. Rowe Price. Ticker is TROW, TROW. It advanced by 8.19% after its recent second quarter earnings report highlighted a $1.91 billion in revenue, which was slightly below estimates. All right, let's get back to pro here. Let's take a look at the SPY chart. Oops, a little bit laggy here. Sorry about that. Let's take a look at the SPY chart and see where we sit here for today and going into this week. Now, come on. You just got to load the moving averages for me. There we go. All right. So we talked last week about trading up to a new all-time high. We set that new all-time high. We actually backed off just a little bit. My take on this is still the same, and it's still a good one. It's that move up and then a slight move down here is actually going to be good for the long term. This is healthy movement. And now we're actually seeing the market kind of drift back up to retest 776.85, which is now our new all-time high breakout level. Now, that's definitely going to be a key area today if we do continue to firm up and trade higher. I think we can probably also take a look at some near-term levels. This 774.70 area, this represents our pre-market high. If we zoom out to also encompass Friday, you can see this is above Friday's intraday high. So I would imagine prior to getting to 776 and setting a new all-time high, we'd probably find a little bit of resistance up here, just shy of 775. We'll see how the market actually trades here today, because 775 might end up being that resistance depending on how it goes. But this is kind of what I'd be looking at. We'll call it the pre-market high, and it's just shy of 775 there. Now, as far as the downside levels, one of the levels that we would definitely want to hold is the low from Thursday. That value is going to be 767.46. So let's just call it 767.5. I think if we hold above that, you're still kind of trying to take out the upper end of this range. If we do come back in from that level, remember, we would still be looking for a hold above the former breakout level, which is going to be 760.28, our previous all-time high. So if we do break down, we'll see if we can hold above 760.28. Otherwise, we'll see if we test the upside of this range and perhaps even set a new all-time high here today. One of the other things that we've been doing on Happy Hour, and obviously we've been discussing it here today as well, is the Qs. We actually discussed this with Anne-Marie last week. Let me take this and actually extend this trend line out a little bit more. Well, we set a new all-time high in the S&P 500 in the SPY. We have not done that yet in the Qs. Now, the chart itself actually looks similar, except we're beneath some of those all-time high levels. So one of the things that I would like to see, sure, I'd like to see the candle from Wednesday get taken out. That would be great for tech here. But ultimately, I think I'd rather keep pushing, take this trend line out. Again, because this trend line has pretty much been in place since June, the beginning of June, we would like to see more than one close above this trend line here on the Qs. So we'll see if we get any type of like diversification or bifurcation here between the S&P and the Qs. I would love to see a move above this trend line. That would be constructive for the AI trade. That'd be constructive for a lot of tech, really kind of getting its act together. So we'll see if we end up getting that. By the way, that value there, right about 733 on QQQ. We're currently at 724 here in the pre-market. Now, let's take a look at some insights from analysts here. We got Mohamed El-Arian today. Let's see what he says. We'll also go over some of the economic data prints that we are waiting for here today as well. Mohamed El-Arian paints a picture of a split macro environment characterized by underlying macro volatility and pronounced market dispersion, end quote. While risk assets and tech stocks surge, pushing the S&P 500 to record highs, El-Arian emphasizes that, quote, what was good news for Wall Street did not translate seamlessly to Main Street, end quote. Now, he does have some key economic expectations, starting with a frictional real economy, weak labor data marked by an unprecedented decline of 23,000 July payrolls signals persistent supply-side frictions. Lower-income households face increasing pressure after having exhausted their pandemic-era financial buffers and are actively pushing back against the cumulative price inflation. As far as monetary policy shift goes, financial markets are adjusting to a Fed regime change away from predictable hands-on guidance. The cooling labor market has lowered the implied profitability of September rate hike to about 40%. And though forthcoming CPI and PPI data remain critical swing factors. Now, just really quickly here. On Wednesday, we get July's core CPI. We also get headline CPI year over year, and core CPI and year over year data will be released at 8:30. On Thursday, we do get July's PPI. We also have Fed President Beth Hammack speaking. So as far as CPI and PPI, it is going to be Wednesday and Thursday this week. Now, the last part of El-Arian's rundown here is capital flows and AI demand. The corporate backdrop relies heavily on the bond market funding for AI infrastructure, though market technicals indicate that, quote, the worst of this forced selling may be behind us, end quote, following the recent tech deleveraging. Overall, El-Arian anticipates persistent uneven growth, heightened yield volatility, and elevated geopolitical risks keeping markets vulnerable. Now, I got to be honest with you. It sounds par for the course. Doesn't really sound like a whole lot is different there, at least according to Mohammed. Now, let's take a look at the full-on economic schedule for this week. No data today. We get the day off. We do have a couple of earnings. Actually, producer, did you put the earnings chart for this week in Restream yet? Let me know if that's updated. I'll go ahead and show it to the group. If not, I'm sure I can do it when we get 13 on here. But in any case, no economic data here today. On Tuesday, we get the NFIB Index of Small Business Optimism data. That'll be released at 6. We also get July's home sales data. That'll be out by 10. And Fed Reserve Bank of New York's second quarter household debt and credit report will be out by 11. On Wednesday, as mentioned, CPI, core CPI, headline CPI, year-over-year CPI, year-over-year data will be released at 8:30. That'll probably be the big thing that we're kind of waiting for that day. We also get July's monthly Treasury balance data out by 2. On Thursday, we do get Beth Hammack speaking at 8:15. Then we get the initial jobless claims and the PPI at 8:30. We also have Barkin speaking at 8:40. And on Friday, we get July's retail sales data and also the manufacturing and trade inventories and August preliminary University of Michigan consumer sentiment. That was a mouthful. But do have a full slate here of some data points here this week. All right, now let's take a look at some of the news here. First one is going to be Sony and TSMC. They're planning a $6.3 billion image sensor plant in Japan. This is because of the iPhone's Apple camera demand. Physical AI also driving that expansion here. Sony Group, which is ticker SONY, and Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, ticker TSM, reportedly plan to invest $6.3 billion in a state-of-the-art image sensor semiconductor plant in Kumamoto, Japan. Production at the new facility is slated to begin as early as 2029 and will be operated through a joint venture with Sony holding a majority 60% stake and TSMC owning the remaining 40%. This is reported by Nikkei Asia on Monday. The collaboration between the two companies was agreed upon back in May. The joint venture is likely to be established by the end of fiscal 2026, which runs through March of 2027. The primary goal is to supply high-performance camera sensors for Apple iPhones, according to the report. The company also aims to enhance sensor performance for improved object recognition by AI systems, targeting applications in the burgeoning field of physical AI. That will be exciting. The venture will build large-scale R&D facilities and production lines at Sony Semiconductor Solutions image sensor plant in Kumamoto, Japan. Sony and TSMC are also discussing potential government subsidies with Japan's Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry. Sony and TSMC did not immediately respond to Benzinga's request for comments. I'm sure this will be a story that we'll cover and we'll bring you any updates. Kumamoto has attracted semiconductor investment because of its water resources, infrastructure, and established industrial base. TSMC's most advanced 2 and 3 nanometer production remains centered in Taiwan and the U.S., while its Japan expansion focuses largely on specialty and mature technologies. This announcement comes amid a competitive landscape in the tech industry. TSMC is reportedly developing an advanced chip packaging technology called EMIB-like, similar to Intel's EMIB, in partnership with Taiwan-based Kinsys Interconnect technology. The move could weaken Intel's edge in advanced packaging. Meanwhile, NVIDIA is reportedly evaluating Intel's EMIB technology for a future processor. Meanwhile, Samsung Electronics, ticker SSNLF, and Broadcom, ticker AVGO, have entered a $200 billion AI chip pact through 2030, intensifying the foundry race with TSMC. You know, one of the things that we have talked about regarding this whole foundry race is that ultimately, the more competition that they bring in here, the better it's going to be for all of us and all of the companies. One of the big worries, though, is how long is it going to take to spin this stuff up before we actually start seeing chips and results from it? They're telling you that, you know, this is not going to start till 2028, 2029, even though the business entity is formed now. So it'll be interesting to see if this has any impact on some of the supply issues that we deal with on a regular basis. and then also how those stocks are going to perform. I'm still very bullish on TSMC in general. I think that is a monster winner connected to really every angle of the AI trade, and I think that's one that should be watched on potential weakness. Just my 2 cents on that, though. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? We've got another story here. This one's going to be on SpaceX. Sorry. It's superhuman here. I'm overheating a little bit. SpaceX executive says Starship could unlock orbital AI data centers as Earth faces power, land, and cooling constraints. You've heard this a number of times before. This is going to keep being front and center here. Space Exploration Technologies, or SpaceX, ticker SPCX, Vice President Stephanie Bednarek said Starship could change the math for orbital artificial intelligence data centers by making massive compute deployments physically possible, while solar-powered satellites could bypass some power, land, and cooling constraints facing terrestrial facilities. Speaking at the ITU's AI for Good Global Summit 2026 on Sunday, Bednarek, said Earth-based AI infrastructure faces growing resource pressures. Quote, space will become a solution to these problems. The sun has vast energy. It requires no water or land, end quote. She said that, adding that the universe is always clear. Okay, well, that's good. That's good to know. The International Energy Agency expects global data center electricity consumption to roughly double to about 950 terawatt hours by 2030, with power by AI-focused facilities tripling in that time. Bednarek said SpaceX combines frequent launches with Starlink scale manufacturing. Quote, the AI satellites we're currently designing and manufacturing are merely an evolution of the latest Starlink satellites and can be mass produced very quickly, end quote. CEO Elon Musk has similarly argued that AI satellites could be simpler than Starlink spacecraft, requiring preliminary solar arrays, radiators, and laser links rather than complex communication antennas. Reuters reported the first versions could deliver compute comparable to NVIDIA's GB300 rack. Starship is central to scaling that concept. SpaceX says its fully reusable rocket is designed to carry more than 100 metric tons to orbit. Bednarek said large orbital platforms ultimately require, quote, megaton class materials, end quote, adding that Starship can make that a reality. SpaceX has asked the FCC to authorize up to 1 million solar-powered data center satellites and aims to demonstrate orbital AI computing by late 2027. Broader deployments could begin as earlier as 2028. Musk has called solar-powered orbital data centers a no-brainer, predicting that space will become the lowest cost place to put AI within 2 or 3 years. He also argued that space is the only way to scale AI computing at extreme levels. Okay, hang on one sec, folks. All right, sorry about that. My nose was bothering me, and I had to blow my nose, and I wasn't going to do that on camera. Sorry about that. SpaceX sees enormous potential. Its published plans envision Starship eventually delivering millions of tons of things to orbit annually, and a factory capable of producing thousands of AI satellites beginning as soon as late 2027. So we've talked a lot about like the SpaceX theme here. I know, this is definitely going to make a good investment, but there's going to be a figuring out process. I know we did not quite break beneath 100. SpaceX actually looks good here in the pre-market. 136, actually up another 3 points here in the pre-market. I still want to just get this out there. Maybe I'm a little early. Maybe I'm wrong. I still think SpaceX has not hit its post-IPO near-term bottom. I still think we have another kind of leg lower. Now, maybe this bounce actually looks pretty good. Maybe it sucks in a lot of bulls there. My gut feeling is that we still print lower, but we'll see. We'll see how much lower we go and how long it actually takes to get down there. All right, next story here. This is Cloudflare CEO saying that Starlink needs new internet traffic rules built for satellites. And Elon Musk caught wind of this idea and said, hey, send it to that team. I guess that makes sense there. Cloudflare, which again is ticker NET, their CTO Dane Connect proposed that this company and space exploration technology, or SpaceX's Starlink, jointly rethink a core layer of internet networking for low Earth orbit satellites. This prompted Elon Musk to send the idea to Starlink's team. Quote, bandwidth is half of it. Most congestion controls still assumes a stable path and a stable RTT. LEO is neither, end quote. That is from Connect in a post on Monday. He goes on to say, area needs innovation all the way down to the stack. Cloudflare and Starlink should be building that together. Musk caught wind of this tweet and said, quote, send your X post to @Starlink, end quote. That actually, really quickly, just for those of you that remember, that actually reminds me of something Jason, our former founder, would have done here. He would see a real good idea from someone random on the internet, and they would tweet at him, and he would say something like, hey, tweet that to the team. It's nice to see Elon Musk doing something similar. Congestion control algorithms regulate how quickly devices send data back by reacting to signals such as packet loss and round trip time, or RTT. Cloudflare says Cubic, the default controller in its open source quick implementation quiche, governs how connection probes available bandwidth and back off when networks appear congested. That becomes harder in orbit, however. Research on LEO networks has found that moving satellites, handovers, and changing routes can create abrupt RTT shifts and non-congestion related losses that existing algorithms may misread, reducing throughput or increasing latency. 2026 experimental study found current approaches still face trade-offs between throughput, delay-like retransmissions, and Starlink-like networks. The proposal arrives as Starlink scales rapidly. SpaceX reported 12 million subscribers at the end of the second quarter, double the year earlier figure. Cloudflare found Starlink traffic passing through its network in an increase 2.3-fold during 2025. SpaceX has also been pushing the physical network harder. Musk recently said Starlink can provide reliable 10 gigabit per second symmetric connectivity globally, while proposed Gen 3 satellites could deliver more than 10 times the bandwidth of V2 spacecraft and orbit lower to cut latency. Starlink said its U.S. network delivered median peak hour latency of 25.7 milliseconds and about 200 megabits per second median peak hour download speeds as of July 2025, with beam switching available above 99.9%. And I'll be honest, I know we've kind of joked about, hey, Ryan, you should get Starlink. That way you can get rid of Comcast and get rid of some of the outages. And while all of that's true, ultimately, I still think I want to see these speeds climb higher than 200 megabits per second. I mean, anyone that's streamed movies or television knows that you're going to want something faster than that anyway. We're talking about trading and hosting and doing all of these other things. Definitely want to see more speed than that. That would be one of my big holdouts anyway. Connect's proposal targets the software layer beneath those capacity gains. Cloudflare has spent years tuning TCP and quick performance across its network, where Starlink continuously shifts users among fast-moving satellites. Tailoring congestion control to those dynamics could improve responsiveness and make better use of available bandwidth without simply adding capacity. So again, we'll see how Starlink goes. Their business right now is elite. Hopefully that continues. Hopefully we get some better speeds out of that. And we'll see what other types of applications come out of that. Should be fun. Okay, now this next piece of news, how are we doing on time here? Oh boy. We're doing really good on time. In fact, we're gonna be, I don't have enough news for all of the time that we have left, but that's okay. That just means more ticker time. We can probably also start covering the movers a little bit earlier if you want to. Oh, and then for the group, 13 should be here at 9 Eastern today. So we should actually have more time to go through some of the different movers that I see you folks are talking about. So we'll be good. But next here, I want to share an exclusive story here Quantum Biopharma achieves a major milestone with FDA clearance for a multiple sclerosis trial. Now, the ticker here is one that we've looked at before. I think we've actually confused this with a quantum name, just kind of like over the course of a session. But this is Quantum Biopharma. The ticker is QNTM. And I know that we've looked at this before here together. But an exclusive piece of news. On Monday, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, approved Quantum Biopharma's QNTM's investigational new drug application for Lucid MS, enabling it to advance its multiple sclerosis program into phase 2 clinical development. The company is working with a clinical research organization with significant experience in neurodegenerative studies to support implementation of the planned disease-modifying phase 2 study. Preparations for the trial, including the selection of testing sites, have already begun. The company intends to initiate patient enrollment and begin administering the drug as swiftly as possible. Lucid MS is a patented novel investigational compound formulated to offer neuroprotection by halting demyelination, which is a primary driver of worsening disability in MS patients. Unlike many current options that merely modulate the immune system, this new chemical entity targets the underlying neurodegeneration, aiming to address the fundamental root cause of disease progression. Progressive variants of the condition, encompassing primary progressive MS, which is PPMS, and secondary progressive MS, or SPMS, remain a significant global health challenge with scarce therapeutic alternatives. While existing disease-modifying therapies are available, numerous patients continue to suffer from advancing disabilities, emphasizing the necessity for treatments that stimulate neuroprotection and remyelination. Market research underscores this urgent demand. The PPMS treatment sector is forecasted to expand from $1.16 billion in 2025 to $1.31 billion in 2026. Furthermore, the broader global multiple sclerosis therapeutics industry is projected to reach approximately $38.62 billion by 2030. This phase 2 trial marks an important strategic milestone for Quantum Biopharma and advances our unique Lucid MS program into the next stage of development, end quote. That came from Zishan Saeed, founder and CEO and executive co-chairman of the board of Quantum Biopharma. Quantum Biopharma maintains a cash balance of over $10 million as of March 31st, 2026. You know, we talk all the time about these trials being expensive, companies needing money. At least this one has $10 million there on the balance sheet. Now, again, that is as of March. We'll see what happens as we move forward here, but pretty awesome exclusive story there. All right, quick check-in on the market here. I do see that we've kind of slipped a little bit. So when we first got on the program here today, the S&P was in the green. That's now moved slightly to the red. So we were up by 0.08%. We are now down by 0.04%. The Dow is doing its best to hold on. That's down by 0.11%. And the NASDAQ also has slipped into red territory. That's now down 0.07%. So things are weakening here ahead of the open. We'll see if they get any type of firmness before we end up opening here, but still about an hour away. So we'll see where the market settles there. We'll keep an eye on that. All right, last piece of news here. Curative ditches a $600,000 Salesforce contract and says AI changes the economics of building software. CRM, on the back of losing this, says, you know, hey, there are some security risks here. Obviously, there's been talking a lot about security as it pertains to AI just in general with the whole Anthropic Hugging Face thing. But this is another angle here. And I'd be curious to see if this proliferates at all. Do more companies that have some of these large contracts with companies like Salesforce end up opting to not renew those? If that's the case, there's definitely going to be a trade behind that in some of these other names. Curative expanded its AI-built software strategy beyond CRM after dropping roughly $600,000 a year Salesforce contract, Salesforce ticker CRM, by the way, saying it internally developed systems to cut administrative costs. Now, while Salesforce warned that running a secure and compliant network at scale remained a major challenge. Curative spokesperson told Benzinga that its AI software strategy extends beyond customer relationship management, with claims administration, provider contracting, and credentialing among the areas it sees as candidates for an internally built system. The health plan said provider credentialing, which previously took 2 to 3 months, now takes roughly 12 hours, while contracting costs have fallen from $1,500 to $2,000 per deal to about $70. Quote, "We don't start by asking what software to replace," end quote. This came from Curative. They went on to add, "We start by asking where administrative complexity is getting in the way of members and providers," end quote. AI changes the economics of building software, end quote. Curative said AI makes it practical to develop software tailored to its operations rather than adopting its business to generic platforms. The company also stressed that faster development does not eliminate the need for engineering oversight. Before moving real volume into internally built systems, Curative said it's compared results with its previous systems claim by claim until discrepancies were all accounted for. Quote, "AI accelerates development," end quote. The company went on to add strong engineering, rigorous governance, and operational discipline are what makes software dependable, end quote. Curative said lower software costs are only an immediate benefit. The larger advantage is control over its systems, data, and development timeline. By connecting internally built systems, the company said it can identify issues sooner, make faster decisions, and improve member and provider experiences without waiting for vendors to prioritize features or release updates. Quote, "Over time, that combination of connected data, faster decision-making, and greater control becomes a meaningful competitive advantage," end quote. Salesforce is defending its enterprise software model after the Curative CEO, Fred Turner, said that the healthcare company abandoned a $600,000 a year contract and built an AI-powered CRM internally in about 2 months. Turner's decision highlights how AI coding tools, often dubbed vibe coding, could challenge traditional software as a service companies by allowing businesses to build customized applications faster and potentially at lower costs. Salesforce pushed back, arguing that creating software is only part of the challenge. Quote, "AI has made writing code easy," end quote. That is a Salesforce spokesperson, I beg your pardon, telling Benzinga when we reached out. The spokesperson added, "Running that software inside a business securely, compliantly, and under real governance where it touches customer data, revenue, and the daily operations of sales and service teams is work that few organizations can sustain on their own," end quote. I'd like to get the group's opinion on this, by the way. The company said internally developed systems leave businesses responsible for, quote, "every model update, security patch, regulatory change, audit, and recertification," end quote. Salesforce said that burden is particularly significant in regulated industries such as healthcare. The company cited a Gartner research warning that vibe-coded applications without appropriate safeguards could increase software defects by 2,500%. Salesforce also said more than 150,000 companies rely on its platform for mission-critical workloads and highlighted healthcare provider Presenia Health, which uses Agentforce to unify patient data in a HIPAA-compliant deployment. So I think that this is very, very interesting. I think the big thing here, is obviously our company is going to realize that, hey, some of these things we pay for with AI tools, we might just be able to develop them and run them locally. Now, this article, or this, I guess I should say, the Salesforce spokesperson that was kind of pushing back on this, brought up some really good points there, to be quite honest with you. monitoring all of the different security things is one thing. I think he said every model update, security patch, and regulatory change. Okay, there's some value there, but I would argue that folks in the industry know best what their industry needs, right? Like it's not. I feel like someone that works in healthcare, if they're part of the CRM tool, like you're going to be able to design something specifically for your industry. And I don't know that you need all of these other things to be kind of taken care of by somebody else. Let's put it that way. I will say my bias for this is probably shifted because my project of building this automated trading bot has been so great. I would have thought 2 years ago, I would have thought I needed multiple really kind of crack good developers to help me take an idea that's in my head and put it into reality. Well, it turns out you don't need that. And as far as like some of these updates go, like I know with my program, I release a new update every single day. I would imagine that there's a lot that can be saved here by vibe coding things specific to your industry, specific to your line of work, or specific to your products. And I wonder, like one of the big fears that people had initially was like, take, for example, Intuit. Well, I don't know if we're going to need tax software anymore if AI agents can help me do tax things or submit taxes. As a result, the Intuit chart got pounded. Part of me wonders if there's the same dynamic here for Salesforce. Like, are companies really just going to think we should create our own custom CRM? We'd have complete control over our customer database. We know what information's important. We know what's affecting our industry here, so we know what to protect. We know what safeguards to put up. It makes me wonder if Salesforce, which has been a monster for so long, is going to kind of just get replaced by custom AI solutions. I don't know. It's interesting. Joe here says AI can keep track of regulatory changes and adjust. Can it? Yeah. I mean, you can have it learn too. That's the other thing, right? Like you can learn what regulatory changes have happened from last year to this year, apply that to the existing rules, and identify gaps that we need to cover. Like there's a lot that the AI tool can do on top of that. Even if it doesn't know some of that information right away, it can learn it quite quickly. Corey here says, I agree, Ryan. I've built 3 or 4 programs myself over the past few months. I never thought I could do that until now. I completely agree with that. Duddy here says, Salesforce is spreading fear. SaaS and its days are numbered as AI gets better. Agents will be able to eventually manage supporting their own software. Salesforce will be the new Blockbuster unless they deliver better value. So I'm very, very hesitant to compare anything to Blockbuster just because that's a really good example. I don't know that they're necessarily going to be the next Blockbuster, but I think that you're right here. They're going to need to provide better value. I think you hit the right part of that equation there at the end. I think they're going to need to provide better value. And I'm not sure they're going to be able to do that, especially if companies are developing their own custom CRMs that give them better flexibility. I just don't know if that's going to be the case. CoinFox here says, well, the AI issue doesn't stop there because a lot of large companies are training and running their own language models in-house, reducing data center dependencies. One of the big pieces of news was Facebook's new open model, right? And how they want these models to be able to run locally on laptops, just run-of-the-mill laptops. So the data center dependency is reduced here. I think one of the big takeaways that I have from all of this, not only are we in the early innings, we're in like the really early innings. Like I still think we might only be in the second or bottom of the second in the whole AI thing. Especially if these tools start like developing specific applications and then start tailoring them themselves to get better and better. It's just, I think we're so early in this. I'm still in the camp that I think we might see job losses because pieces of software or companies that make legacy software like this become less and less relevant. But I don't think overall we're going to have the job destruction. I think we're going to have process destruction. I think there's going to be some out with the old and in with the new that we're going to see with some of these different, AI developments here. And I don't think that's going to require less people. I think you're still going to need people as part of the equation. I think it's just going to change around what some companies do. I really like the way that one viewer put it there. Duddy, they're going to have to deliver better value. They don't necessarily have to close their doors. They're going to have to do something for the end customer that has more value attached to it. To me, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. We are doing so good on time. We're going to have extra time to go over more and more charts here. But first, I do want to do a street tweet right now. All right, this street tweet here, this one, I actually, I thought about the noob when I saw it because it's about Chipotle. I actually think the thesis here is quite sound as well. And then I was made chuckle by the name of the account, which is, of course, Leopold Money Tracker. The internet is undefeated, folks. I just want to remind you all of that. Anyway, the content of the tweet, I apologize if it's a little small on the screen. I will read it to you. CMG is getting smoked on the salmonella headline. So first we had diarrhea lettuce, then we have salmonella. Chipotle getting hit on that, down 12.5% as I type this. The market has a long memory with this name. The 2015 E. coli thing was brutal. The stock got cut in half. It took 3 years to recover. But here's the part that most people forget. Once it did recover, it went up 11 times over the next 7 years. 40% CAGR from the 2018 trough, too. The setup today is different, but the pattern, similar. It rhymes, you might even say. 2018 PE was 40x on depressed earnings. Today, it's 33x with 27% annual EPS growth over the last 5 years. That's not expensive for a compounder. The minus 10% 5-year return is entirely multiple compression, not an earnings disappointment. Nickel rebuilt the brand once already. The behind-the-foil marketing turnaround was real. The question now is whether the playbook still works under the new leadership. Always a question with new leadership. I don't have a position here, good to know, but I'm watching. The multi-bagger framework of buying equity during distress applies. We talk about this all the time. You should be, when you're crying, you should be buying, and when you're yelling, you should be selling. The salmonella thing will fade. The question is whether the multiple can re-rate from 33 times while earnings keep compounding. Could get interesting if it drifts lower. So I wanted to bring you this idea here when Chipotle is out of favor, not when it's coming back in favor and up significantly off the bottom. This account does a really good job tying it to a very real event in the past that Chipotle recovered quite mightily from. We often talk about we need some type of catalyst to bring in either the entire market or individual names so we can add them at more attractive prices. You're getting it here in CMG. You folks let me know if you take a long-term trade on that, if and when you take a long-term trade on that. All right, let's get back to Benzinga Pro here, and let's do ticker time. Let's see what kind of time we have here. It is 8:46, so we've got 14 minutes until 13 shows up. We'll do the movers then. I would say right now we can probably take a look at some of the regular stocks that you folks want, some of the different charts, get you all ready here for today. Let me clear the board here on my end. Okay. We could start with these. Zach McCracken mentioning that Intel had a $15 billion offering. Let's just start there. Here's your Intel chart. Couple of things. Number one, Intel is down 4.28%, so about 4.25%, maybe 4.5% here today in the pre-market. We're at 97.21, and this is important because we are just a scotch above that 20-day moving average. We also happen to be right above the 100-day moving average. But notice here, we're actually in a downtrend. So Back here in June, we did make some new highs here. We've connected them with a trend line. Well, that was actually only a temporary pop out of this downtrend that really started back in May. Now, I have this downtrend labeled with two different trend lines. It effectively makes close to a parallel channel. And if I extend this trend line out, let me do that here a little bit. If I extend this trend line out, you can see we're kind of still in this channel. Now, with today, we're rolling back over to the 20 here. I would imagine, given the news here today and the trading action, that both the 20 and the 100 can get hit and tested here today. We could even peak beneath them, could even close beneath them. But keep in mind this channel. Now, if we turn around here, I think we're going to see some resistance at the round 100 number. I think that goes without saying. But I think the top end of this channel here is about 107 over the next several days. I think Intel is probably trapped in there. Now, Zach, you had mentioned that they had an offering here. Let's take a look at the news. Intel proposed a $15 billion common stock offering. That's obviously driving it down. They did say here that this is to fund their AI demand, or their AI ambitions, excuse me, not demands. A company plans to use net proceeds for general corporate purposes, including capital expenditures and working capital. Intel said customers continue to signal strong and sustainable demand fueled by unprecedented investments in AI. So it looks like the offering is for the sake of AI. We'll see if the market likes that. Obviously, right now, down 4.5%. We'll see how it thinks about that throughout the course of the session here. The offering could grow by additional $2.25 billion. Something else to keep in mind there, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs underwriting this one. So that's what's going on with Intel here. You tell me what you think on Intel. Is this one that you are looking to buy the dip at any particular level? If we do break these moving averages, do you like this down here in a mid-80 handle? Let me know. Let me know. Oh, man, and I need to go blow my nose at some point, but we need 13 to get here. Okay, let me see what else you guys have on here. That Intel one was good. I actually didn't have a news story on that. We might as well have covered that, so I think that's good. Okay, and then a couple of you guys are talking about Clove. This has been kind of a scammy stock in the past, so just be careful with this one. A lot of FinTwit people talk about this one, overhype what's possible and all of that. Here's what the chart looks like. We did have a significant move up here. This was Thursday of last week. Didn't we have news on that? I feel like we might have taken a look at that. That was Wednesday. That was the earnings on Wednesday, and then the trading on that on Thursday. We also did have a price target upgrade there. So that's pretty sweet. Looks like this was a good earnings report as well. Let me see what the short interest on this puppy has done. Okay, so we're still holding at about 6%, just under 5 days to cover there at 4.89. Let's take a look here. Float, super thick. Now, what did you guys have on this one? Blow your nose with $100 bills. Okay, so you might be a little too jazzed up for this. Here's what I will say about Clove, and I know that this trend line goes back a long time here. This move, were we trading it earlier this year? I feel like we took a look at Clove. I can't remember exactly what it is, but this made a really nice move. Here's the good thing. Back test of this trend line breakout. Now it looks like we're going to try and drive higher here. 5 is certainly going to be a key level here today. We're only up a little bit, and I don't really think they had anything else going on. Oh, wait, this conference. Did this happen already? Let me see when this conference is. Aha! You're in luck, folks. They are presenting at a conference, and it is the Canaccord Genuity 46th Annual Growth Conference, and it is tomorrow. Starts at 8:30 a.m. Now, does this say what? Yeah, so this company will present at 8:30. So I don't know what they're supposed to cover here in this, but there actually is a link to this. A live yep, here we go. In fact, if anyone wants this, let me throw this in the chat. Make sure I get that period out of there as well. There we go. So if anyone wants the replay or the question and answer, there's the link for it. It's right here out of the PR. That happens tomorrow. So I would say I don't know what's going on here. This is not one that I follow. Definitely on deck for tomorrow. definitely on deck for tomorrow. Okay, I'll be right back. Just give me one sec, chat. All right, chat. Sorry about that, but oh my gosh, do I feel better? Oh my God. All right, so Clove, this is actually a really interesting one. I think what I like the most about this is that instead of doing this after the conference, we are telling you before. Tomorrow, there is a conference. There might be some breaking news out of this. You got a pretty interesting chart here. It's made a really nice move higher, back tested a breakout level, and is holding above that area. So let's see. Let's put this one on our watch list at least for tomorrow. We have potential catalysts lined up for that. So awesome. Okay. Good mention there on Clove. Good mention there on Clove. Let me see what else the chat is taking a look at here. I'd like Intel to drop near the 200. That would make sense. Fiber optics are going. Don't we have another report this week, Kathy, for earnings? Yes, we do. Tomorrow, after the market closes, we get light earnings. We had AAOI last week, right? I'm going to make sure I'm getting my optics stocks correct here. We had AAOI for earnings last week. We've got light coming up here. And I think we also have CIEN coming up here. Yep. AAOI was last week. This is actually, looks like this is trading a little bit higher from that pop. So light tomorrow. This actually looks like it's, look at this too. I just kind of was eyeballing this. Let's start right here. This looks like it's kind of breaking that, came all the way back in, tested the 200. Looks like it's bouncing off that, maybe breaking above this. Might not be bad. How about Sienna? Oh, is it CEIN? Nope. I thought it was CIEN. Is it not? No, there it is. CIEN. Okay, same deal here. This thing came into the 200. This actually doesn't look as nice as light. Let's see if we can get back above the 50-day moving average there, 445.84. When does this thing have its earnings? September 3rd. So we got a little bit of time. So we get light this week and then September 3rd here for Sienna. We'll see if it follows suit there on AAOI. But then here, what else did you have there? Real quick. And then you had another ticker in there that I didn't take a look at. Excuse me. That's VIAV. Also looks very, so all of these have come back in and held their 200. So I think that's pretty good as long as they keep going. When does this thing report its earnings? This did last week with AAOI. So light this week, CN in a couple of weeks here, and that'll do it for our fiber optic stocks. Those have actually been pretty good. You're also mentioning Archer, ACHR. We had some Boeing news with that. Aha, Archer. This is a significant move, up 17.5%. Look at this, folks. Just shy of the recent high from June and just shy of the 200-day. The value of the 200-day, 684, that for sure is going to be a key level here today. Let's see what we have in the PR here about the deal with Boeing. Reshaping the future, I see in the headline. That's good. Let's see. Archer to shape physical AI future of aerospace and defense with the acquisition of Boeing's Whisk Aero, In Situ, and SkyGrid subsidiaries. Boeing to invest in Archer and collaborate. Okay, so for Archer, how big is the Boeing investment, right? And over what length of time? Okay, Let's see what we get here from this. How about that? Our news desk team already doing some of this. They're going to add over $200 million in annual defense revenue. Boeing will take a stake and become a strategic partner, but there were no terms disclosed on that. How about that? All right, let's go back to the chart here. Let's take a look at an intraday chart. This is what the Archer move looks like. That actually looks pretty sweet. It's statistically significant, but it's light on the exact economics. That's the PR here. Boeing is not primarily writing a large cash check up front. Okay, interesting. If I recall here, it's quarterly. Archer still have, okay, so they still have money, so that might not be the death blow. Boeing is contributing assets like Wisk, SkyGrid, and In Situ, and in exchange, they're taking an equity stake in Archer, and that size of the stake, as mentioned, is not specified. The transaction is expected to close by the end of this year. Okay. And deal closes in 4 or 5 months. In Situ adds about 200 plus million in revenue, which is huge versus Archer's current pre-revenue, early revenue profile. Okay, so that is going to be significant. It moves Archer into more ISR and UAS defense markets. So this could be more of like counter drone markets as well. Like Archer's going to be more of a counter drone play in addition to that. Interesting. According to the Wall Street Journal, Boeing is going to take a 20% stake. That's not even mentioned in the PR here. So interesting. So this is going to help shift the narrative on Archer from a concept eVTOL to operating defense and aerospace platform. Interesting. They're pitching Palantir meets Anduril for aerospace autonomy. Okay, so that might have some pretty big. That's a pretty big goal there, I would say. You're merging 3 Boeing subsidiaries and a startup in different cultures. That $200 million from In Situ is likely lower margin and contract based, and it may not scale for eVTOL. Okay, so this is an interesting one. Now, nonetheless, a nice little move here in Archer. It looks like $7 is going to be the top there. We've come back in a little bit from that. 684 is going to be your 200-day. We would love to see it close above the 200-day. Love to get a close or two above the 200-day. But that $7 likely going to come into play here again. All right, folks, it is 9 a.m. Eastern, which means it's time for Pre-Market Pulse. Let's get her done. $13, good morning. How you doing, man? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. How's everybody in the chat? How are you this morning?
Well, I have a bit of a stuffed up nose, it would seem. But other than that, I'm doing swimmingly. We've gone over some of the news here. Most recently, this Archer news, which has it popping by 17%.
Yeah, I was just reading through a little bit of the PR there. This looks to me like they are developing a sky taxi.
So, network. Okay, so not necessarily getting into defense.
It's gonna have I think it'll have a defense angle, but taken all together, I mean, it most likely will. But taken all together, this looks like it's more headed towards a sky taxi system. Just looking at, because I know about Wisk. I'm not familiar with SkyGrid or In Situ, but just looking at these things together, it really seems like this is all coming together to create some kind of sky taxi network.
Okay.
Well, and it could have some defense angles as well. I'm not going to discount that whatsoever, but just looking at these things together, that's what it seems like they're heading towards. Okay.
All right, cool deal. What do you want to start with here today?
Well, let's see. There were a couple of movers that just, some are familiar, some are new to us, but they're taking off here. JWEL is one of them. That's Jowl Global.
Yep.
Stakeholder Foods is back.
It's back.
As is Audia, AUUD. Yeah, Audia actually trying to make a bit of a run for the next resistance area that I have at about 175 here. Support is at 140. That's where it was getting when we had this first impulse move through here. We were dealing with that 140 resistance. Then we got to the next area around 175, going as high as 180. I don't even know what the news is on AUD.
Let me check. Let me see what we got here. Audia says the SEC declared Form S4 registration statement effective for a proposed merger with Thraman Holdings to form McCarthy Finney. Boy, that is about as dry and bland as it gets. It looks like this is the merger's going through.
Yes, and this is just one of the steps.
Yeah. This milestone clears the path for the next stage of the merger here.
Yeah, and it says in this story here that the company is now going to file a definitive proxy statement with the SEC, distribute the proxy to shareholders, announce the shareholder meeting date, hold shareholder vote, and proceed to closing. So you have several different things to look forward to here that will make this tradable. But this, I don't know what the terms of the merger are. Looks like this has a 5 million and change float. So could still get pushed around fairly easily, but that's really all I've got here with this one. It's apparently getting, moving forward with that merger.
Okay, sorry, I was just trying to handle something else here. So with JWEL, this is Jawa Global. This is a Chinese stock, no news, up 200%. Factor all of that in. Yeah,
there's a trend line that you can draw on the top side of that, maybe even on the bottom, but it's going to give you it's going to give you a rising wedge. So eventually this is going to fall, as a lot of these junker names do. But as long as it's still above the VWAP, we could see another move, maybe out of the gate, that takes us up towards that trend line. I think we just need to watch and see what happens here with the VWAP.
Okay, JWEL, Stakeholder Foods is next. I see a really clear trend line here, 13.
Oh, yeah. Looks like we're trying to turn around here.
And it sure looks like this $4 was the support that it's trying to use. And although we've already peaked beneath that once here today. Quick peek at the short interest on this. This company is from Israel, not from China. 4% of the float shorted, 1.68 days to cover. Float is 1.7 million, so this could very easily get pushed around. No news on this. Careful with this one, I feel like.
Yeah, it's trading beneath VWAP. It looks like your next resistance is going to be about somewhere between 440 and 450 before VWAP. Just need to see some better volume in this one. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot of movement right now. I mean, it's got like 15 shares that were just traded. It's not really moving.
No, not a whole lot of volume here. Okay. Audia. So this is the one we just took a look at. I've got a trend line here now that this is kind of moving back. ZJYL. Didn't we look at this?
Sounds like a name we looked at before.
Wednesday in the pre-market, this thing got all hot and bothered. Then it did nothing. Now it's having its real move here. Was this on news? This is on no news, right?
Let's see here.
This is just a junky China name. I wouldn't worry too much about this. Yeah, I don't have any news for this. Quick peek at the float on this one, 1.5 million. Short interest on this one, negligible, 1%.
Looks like it was moving last week too when it had their earnings. So I don't know if it's got any carry through into this week, but that's what it appears the most recent news was. But it's got a low float, so could get moved around.
Okay, and then ABCL. This is one that was moving earlier. This actually did have a catalyst. Alan says, I would love to get 13's take. So he doesn't give a shit about mine, which is fine. But 13, we'll go ahead and give you yours here. This is AbCellera Biologics. Again, ticker is ABCL. Shares are trading higher after the company announced its phase 2 portion of its phase 1 and 2 clinical trial evaluating one of its drugs has met its primary endpoint. Have you gone through this one, like the study that this is doing?
I
didn't think. I'll do it through AI as well here. Definitely high short interest. 19.14% of float shorted. I know it's not technically over our 20% threshold. That's close enough. 6.97 days to cover there on the days to cover metric. That's high for sure. Let's see what else our news desk team has uncovered here for us. And phase 2 customer study. Okay, significant symptom reduction, improved sleep, and favorable tolerability for its best-in-class drug. So that's what the phase 2 trial get. This actually does seem like it's pretty good. Stock's up 30% here. Let me see if I can have the AI break down the PR a little bit better here.
Yeah, companies. It's another one of these biotechs that has a good cash and short-term investment position, but that they're a biotech, they burn through it. They seem to have a pretty good runway. Maybe a couple of years at this current burn rate.
Okay, this is good. First of all, Pip here in the chat is saying, I've been a bag holder for ABCL for more than 2 years. It's not good that you're a bag holder, but I think that I would imagine that your reason for this is probably important. If you don't mind sharing, like what happened, was there a PR before? Was there some type of part of the story that you found appealing before? What happened that caused you to be a bag holder for more than 2 years? Maybe there was something that we can learn from that. I had an AI break down the actual PR here itself. Here's what I've got for you. It's clearly positive phase 2 data. It's directionally good, but it's not a slam dunk from an investing point. It's targeting menopausal hot flashes via receptor blockade. The hot flash frequency dropped 83% versus 33% with placebo. So that's significant. They have absolute reduction in the per day study. They have improved sleep, no serious adverse effects. This actually reads pretty good here. The efficacy looks legit. The placebo-adjusted data is meaningful. The safety profile, no serious things in its phase 2 is important for quality of life. It's a daily oral drug. Now, the sample's not, so where you should be skeptical, the sample size has an N of 92. That's still early. They'd like a little bit more than that, but boy, that sure feels like nitpicking. There is competition that already exists. Astellas drug is approved, oral, and already commercializing. So ABCL needs to prove better efficacy or meaningfully better convenience compliance. Seems like that's the road for it here.
Yeah, I was looking to see what they're going to move on to next. If there's going to be like a phase 2B study or a phase 3 study, both are going to require money. Phase 3 will be more expensive, I think. But yeah, I just don't know what's coming up next for this. That would be another thing I'd be looking into. What are they going to do with this result going forward? It sounds to me like what you were saying, Ryan, that this is positive, but they're not done with their trials yet to the point where they can just start filing with the FDA to have a new drug. I'd say that there's probably some more cash burn coming. Let me look at the chart here. It's one thing I haven't looked at yet.
And you did take a look at the financials here, 120 million in cash. They're probably going to need more for the phase 3 though.
Well, the short-term investment is what could may end up being converted into cash.
Okay. No, good spot.
So I think they're okay there. If that's not the case, then you're right. Absolutely.
Okay.
The only other issue that I have is they have quite a bit of debt. 120 looks like almost 130 million in long-term debt and lease obligations, with 5.6 million due this in the next 12 months. So that would be another thing to keep an eye on there. But as far as the chart goes, what's encouraging is that this is traded back above the 50-month SMA, and we're still holding above it. You look at this, and you also have a bit of a trend line here on the daily chart. Let me just see how this looks. That's interesting. So using the most recent peaks since May, we have a bit of a trend line there. I would say maybe there's a possibility that the news being what it is today is good enough to lift it up towards that trend line for a trade, but this is getting into overbought. This is already in overbought territory, so we could also get an immediate gap fill out of the gate.
Yeah.
But that's looking at the chart. I think that's how I would, kind of approach this. You may have some upside out of the gate, but there's a lot more downside to fill from that gap once we open. So I'm sorry I can't give you more positive information, but this is what I would be looking forward to. And this, if I was an owner in this, I would be looking into what's next for that clinical trial of that ABCL 635 drug.
I thought that was a great breakdown, frankly. Bottom line here is that this actually is good data that the company is releasing here today. Clearly, they're going to need more, though. It de-risks the program meaningfully, and it supports moving to phase 3, which is 13 outlined is going to be the next step. And where they're going to need money for that, maybe there's some short-term investments they can liquidate instead of going to the market for money. It's not definitive. It's not clearly superior to the existing products yet. So I think that's going to be one of the big things that is going to weigh on this over the next several sessions. And it needs durability and large-scale confirmation. If the stock moves hard on this, the real question is whether it's pricing its successful phase 3 plus commercialization. So I don't know that's what we're doing. And really quick here, 13, I had asked one of the members that bought this and bag holding it. I was basically asking what happened here. Pip said, I was new to trading and the PR on ABCL sounded promising, so I bought in on the PR. And then you were saying if it goes to near 16. So this was in the mid-teens when you bought this. So this is good. So this PR that we got here today sounds good. But 13 and I are trying to dig through this. We're telling you that there is some more here and where some of that can come from. I don't know that I'd necessarily chase this on the PR, but this is likely to be in play today.
Yeah, I've had my own share of when I was learning this too, that I was reading into some of these biotech companies. I was like, oh, that's really great news. The company I picked up was VTVT, and I held that for a while, but I finally got out of it after waiting for the price to appreciate enough. So I was lucky there, but it did take a while, and I learned my lesson the hard way that just because these biotechs sound great, it's a whole other story when it comes to their finances.
Yeah.
And just one last real quick thing on ABCL with their chart. Look at every time that we've had since May, every time that we've had this pop up, that's part of that trend line. And look at the RSI. It's right at the edge of, it's right at the edge of like 75, maybe almost 80, and it comes right back in the very next day. So I think that's something you would want to keep in mind here after this opens. We could get something very similar where it just maybe gives a quick pop and comes right back in.
Okay. That's a really good mention there with the RSI, tying that to it as well. So, all right. I think that does it for the movers, right? Because we talked about most of them that are moving around here.
Yeah.
We can pretty much do chart time on anything. 13, I need to go blow my nose again. Sure. I don't know what the heck's going on with my nose here this morning. But let's pick a chart. We'll take a look at it, and we'll get ready for the open. Low stress here going into the open. 15 minutes away. And the market, by the way, the SPY is holding just shy of flat. It's down by 0.06%. So that move down has somewhat stopped here.
Yeah, I thought I had noticed one that was up significantly earlier, but I'm not seeing it now. No big deal. It probably was just something I saw that it was doing before we had the weekend. SpaceX is also up a little bit this morning.
Here, let's take a look at the SpaceX chart. That's a good place to start off here. Here's your SpaceX chart 13. I'm actually going to go to the 1 hour so you can also talk about intraday stuff as well as see its general shape. I'll be right back 1 second.
All right, so looks like this one this morning we popped over the IPO price, but we're kind of coming back down, and I'm just waiting to see at the open here if we're going to end up opening beneath it and start to see some selling. It was a great Friday for the stock, up over 15%. I think it kept going a little bit more in the after hours. I'm a little concerned that we're going to see some selling this morning. So we'll see if we end up getting that. They do have that AnySphere acquisition that's supposed to close this quarter. And one of the things I've been thinking is, are they just trying to move this price up ahead of the announcement that the deal is going to close so that they don't have to issue as many shares? The deal with how they're going to be paying for the AnySphere acquisition is it's going to be based off of the VWAP of the past 7 days prior to the announcement of the deal closing. So the thought here is that if the price is, the VWAP is higher over those 7 days, there's fewer shares that will have to be issued. So less dilution. That's the thought. So we'll see if that ends up happening. They also have a bunch of other share unlocks that are happening between now and the third quarter. 70-day, 90-day, 105, 120, and 135-day tranches. 7% will be unlocked throughout the third and fourth quarter. Hello, Quantum Vortex. Hello, Odie. Hello, Jane. Tex, whoever shouted out Socket. Who shouted out Socket? It must have been before I got here.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry, 13. SCKT, I think, is what that person is.
Okay,
talking about. They were just talking. It's one of the movers there. I'm sorry for dropping the ball. I don't know what the heck's going on with my nose here today.
This just started going out of nowhere. It looks like this.
Did we have news on it? Oh my God, 600%. Yeah, we had news here. Socket Mobile's partners with 3i Technologies to distribute the company's barcode scanners, contactless readers, and mobile data capture solutions in North America. Okay, that sounds awfully generic. Let me break the PR down like a fraction for you. SCKT.
Data capture products, huh? Oh, okay. This is something that you connect to. This makes a bunch of devices you connect to your phone for commerce. So like those little things you plug in that you can swipe a card with. I guess
they like also the square readers.
Yeah, basically. I don't think they make the square readers, but they apparently make some other stuff too that are data capture products.
Okay.
Quite a move though.
Let's see here. This is a heck of a move. Mm-hmm. Here we go. The 3i Technologies partnership is a modest incremental channel distribution deal rather than a major catalyst. It expands Socket Mobile's reach into industrial frontline mobility markets, but doesn't come with disclosed revenue commitments, minimums, or exclusivity terms. So, okay. So just right off the top here, I would be very skeptical of a near 600% move. I would just throw that out here. I also want to be very careful. The stock is $2.50. So I'm not out here advocating that somebody short a stock that's $2.50. I'm just trying to give you my breakdown here on the news. Routine channel distribution partner announcement. The kind of press release small cap hardware companies issue regularly to signal pipeline expansion, not a transformative deal. There's no mention of contract value, minimum order commitments, or exclusivity.
My only concern would be what's going on with their current portion of debt. They have $6.5 million that's due within the next 12 months. Might even be less than that since this is from an older earnings, and they don't have the cash. So I guess I'm just kind of, or it doesn't look like they have the revenue either. So I'm wondering if this may be a potential share dilution event coming, capital raise, if you will. So yeah, I guess that's kind of my thought here on this one. I don't want to get in front of it. I don't want to be on the wrong side of it either. I think that big move that has already happened. I don't know what it's going to do next. But if it holds above VWAP, there may be some more, more volatility coming in the regular session.
So here you go, 13. Socket Mobile's debt situation is becoming a real pressure point.
Yeah.
It's now layered with multiple related party convertible notes, a senior bank facility, and a demand for repayment from a major shareholder, all against a shrinking cash cushion.
Yep.
So
that would be my big concern right now.
Most of this debt sits with insiders and board members rather than an arm's length from lenders. And repayment demand like the one from Enrico Mills, creates a conflict of interest dynamic. I tell you what, this is a trader, but man, are there some red flags from this early in this one. I would be careful on this one. Jay Wild, I did great on it. 1 to 2, and I'm out. Okay, well, there you go. Be quick on it. That's the secret.
Yeah. We're going to have to call you Jack because, man, you are nimble.
There we go. I like where 13's got his head screwed on straight here today. This is good news. Good breakdown here, though.
Oh. Okay, so maybe a possible trade, but carries a lot of risk. I think that's how I would summarize this one.
All right, and SPY here. Here, let's just look at it together instead of me looking at a chart that I'm not sharing on screen here. This actually looks weak here. It actually looks like it's going to test some of the lows. Open in 8 minutes, by the way.
Yeah, it does look like we are going to continue to go lower. We'd like to see what happens around 771. That appears to be an area where we might find some support.
Oh my.
What's up?
Wiss brought up this one. Wiss says, Ryan, look at how much the volume dropped on Scion. That's SION. Wiss, it's not just the volume, it's the price too. This thing is down 90% here. Ciona Therapeutics shares are trading lower after the company reported top-line data from the Precision CF Phase 2A proof of concept trial did not achieve a key activity endpoint. This thing's done, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know what else this has going on. If this is like one of the only drugs they were looking at, and then it might be. Let's look. Let's look, because that's interesting. That's a massive drop.
Massive. And so I think you're probably wondering, is there maybe a dead cat bounce here for a couple of points? I don't know.
And this is for Scion 719. Is that what that's for?
Let's see. Precision CF Phase 2A proof of concept for Scion 719. Correct.
Okay. So that, it looks like one of the programs they have going on that's one of the most furthest along. The other is Scion 3067, which is for a different life cycle development drug. But they have several things going on. And I wonder if the 719 is one of their flagship drugs. I'm not sure. But it's not the only thing they have going on. So I wouldn't say that the company's done for.
Okay.
In that sense, because it's a massive. I mean, look, it's like 90% down. That's awful, but I don't think that it's the end of the company. I would have to do some more work and see what their cash is like, and what this and that. But they have other things in the pipeline. Let's see. Oh, okay. This is interesting. You had a lot of insider selling happening in the lead up to this earnings report last week.
13, really quick. I took the PR that it released and I threw it into AI, and I said, how bad is this for the stock? It's down 90%. Could the stock bounce? Just a reasonable question that any trader might ask. Here's the first sentence reply. This is about as bad as it gets for a single asset thesis biotech, and the market is reacting accordingly. Perplexity is just no chill today. The key issue isn't just a mixed endpoint, it's no signal.
Yeah, so all their research is worthless.
Yeah, that's basically what that means.
So I think that's a little bit more of the bigger concern is there's nothing salvageable from this.
It wasn't just one program, it was the entire core hypothesis test. It failed. Platform credibility this is okay. I'd be careful on the bounce on this one, Whisk. I'm not going to play it, but if you did play it, I would say that you would have to be about as tight as it gets on the stops there. And your timing is going to have to be perfect to make money on this one, it seems. That's not a good report there.
No, it's not at all. Oh, geez. So they haven't really disclosed how much. They haven't really disclosed how much they've spent on 719. But the company has raised over $500 million to date to fund its pipeline of cystic fibrosis treatments, which include 719. So that's a lot of money. that they've been putting into this, and it's gone nowhere. So it's to borrow a statement from Anthropic or whatever it is you used. It's as bad as it gets.
Yeah. For perplexity. Yeah. Wiz says, I'm already up 27%. Look, cheers to you. I mean, shout out to you. Like I said, it can be done here. I'm generally going to go for some of the lower hanging fruit here. But you know what? Really quickly, this is a really good example of just because 13 and I think something on something doesn't mean that you have to do the same. Wiz, I'm sitting over here saying avoid this. Wiz is like, I'm not avoiding this 27%. I'm just going to go get it. Multiple ways to win in this business, which is why we like it so much. But man, oh man, good mention on this. I didn't even think to look at the down gappers today.
And they do provide a trade.
Derek mentioning that's the second biotech stock that crashed like that today. Gosh, what was the other one? Oh my gosh, it's 10X.
Uh-oh.
So 10X, and we've traded this one before. Yep. 10X Therapeutic shares are trading lower after it announced its phase 3 level clinical trial did not meet its primary endpoint or key secondary endpoints.
That's even worse.
Good mention, Derek.
Yeah. That's a great mention. This is even worse than the last one. They spent even more money, I would assume.
Oh, man.
Getting into phase 3 with this.
Bio beatdown today. Well, on some of these that failed anyway. Dr. Manred, good morning. I missed you guys this weekend. Well, that's awfully nice of you. We're back. Welcome. Hopefully you had a good weekend. There's Lion Atlas locked in and ready to go. Lion, you buying any of these junk bios down 90%? Probably not. Probably not.
Yeah, both of these, 10X and Scion, they both were zero revenue companies. They just, the cash burn was the name of the game for them. And what's up?
And producer. Sorry, 13. I was just trying to check this here. Finish your thought, but then we'll go ahead with the earnings scheduled for this week.
I was just looking at 10X's balance sheet. Looks like they do have a good amount of cash and not a whole lot of debt. So it might not be as bad as Scion, but still, that's a lot of money they spent. This is another one of these are for me.
Yeah. Real quick, folks, here are the earnings for this week. We kind of talked about this. It's a little bit lighter. Despite the number of earnings here, it's a little bit lighter. We do have CoreWeave tomorrow in the after hours. We're going to have Cisco Wednesday in the after hours. We're going to have AMAT Thursday in the after hours. There's a lot of reports here, but none of them are all that huge. Right?
ASTS might be an interesting one to watch tonight.
Okay, that's tonight.
Yeah.
Rocket Lab tonight. But there you go. All right, we're open.
Okay, and socket, what's it going to do? Is it going to go higher or is it going to socket to us? Let's look at JWEL. That one's losing the 65 EMA and may sink further. Stakeholder added 65 EMA, might do the same thing that Jowl is doing. Audia trying to climb back over 140.
SCKT, I think, is going to halt here at 261.
Socket, okay.
Yeah, and you know what? And there it is, halted. Your time there, 9:30:30, by the way. And you know what else is interesting about that is I actually have levels in my broker on this one. So we clearly traded this before, like actually traded it. And we're basically right at that level, that this 261 area, right where it halted.
JD is bringing up to us that he's asking if we saw the Vertex move against the Scion news. So what might have been bad for Scion is going to be good for Vertex. Let's look at VRTX.
Aha, good. That's a good mention. This stock's up 9.5% here. And this had no news of its own, huh?
Well,
nope.
Not that I can see. So it could be that relation. I mean, let's look at what time did that Scion start going?
Right when it opened here at the beginning of the pre-market, I think. Let me check. Let me bring it up. I don't want to just guess. No, it looks like it was the exact same time. 13. Looks like This person is exactly right.
Yep.
750. Yep.
Great mention then.
Yeah, that was a really good mention. VRTX. This thing trades like crazy too. Just FYI. By the way, first move here on the SPY is up out of the open. So we talked about that kind of weakening into the open. This basically went to the VWAP right out of open here. S&P futures sitting right at VWAP as we speak.
Jowl back up through at 65 EMA, testing its VWAP. Stakeholder went down near the 200 EMA. That's trying to turn around and get back above 65 EMA. Audia getting rejected at 140. Clove just dropping hard.
Oh, I was supposed to be able to blow my nose with $100 bills. By the way, so I know that viewer was joking. I don't recommend anyone ever blow their nose with money for many reasons. Just going to throw that one out there. PSA. Clove, this is actually at a key level here. I don't think you want to lose this. 450, maybe call it. I think we probably come in back towards 430 if we do.
Yeah, I just want to avoid touching paper money to your face. You might think it's clean, but it's not.
Palantir straight up out of the gate, 175. Apple is ex-dividend today. That's actually lower. Palantir grew 175. Oh my.
JD is saying they had a leading pill that was Simon was competing for. I think your caps lock is on because you have a lowercase t in front there.
Yeah, that's definitely, that happens to me on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. Stakeholder, here we go. This is climbing back up over the 65 EMA. Audia is also trying to get back over 140. And Jowl is getting rejected at VWAP.
Westcap, good morning. It's always good to see you. Saying, look out, Q's target. I noticed that the Qs are bouncing here as the SPY is trading straight up out of the gate. Are you saying look out as in we might have a move higher? Look at the Qs here. You know what? A curl above these intraday highs. Maybe you might be right on that.
And we are selling on SpaceX here. And Ryan, you had stepped away when I had brought this up, but we still have that acquisition with Anysphere that SpaceX is supposed to do. So the way that's supposed to work is that the price that they're going to issue shares is going to be based off of the VWAP of 7 days prior to the announcement of the closing. So I'm kind of thinking if part of this move up here is to potentially reduce the amount of shares that need to be issued, because if it's you have the VWAP higher, then that's fewer shares you have to issue to get that 60 billion figure that they're buying it for.
So you're because it's higher here, we might have more, or excuse me, because it's higher here, we might have less of an unlock.
No, because it's higher, there should be fewer shares issued, and it would be less dilutive.
Sorry, that's what I should have said. It would be less dilutive.
Unlocks are regarding shares that already exist. This the acquisition of Anysphere is for dilution, so the issuance of new shares. Got it. Okay, now we have stakeholder above the above all the other indicators, trying to push higher. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Because literally, as you were saying that, the Qs got melted. So did the SPY, by the way.
Arcat news. Dara is mentioning Arcat announces a multi-year partnership with Washington Commanders to support America's military community. That's interesting. Are we going to so maybe we're going to see some drone flyovers at some of the Commander games then?
That would actually kind of be cool. Let me take a look at that here real quick. Is Arcat responding to that? Let's see.
Yes, it's up out of the gate.
Here is Arcat. Actually, one of my buddies that I work with here is a Commanders fan. Let me send this to him.
That's awesome.
Because I might get him to break down some of this.
All right. We got a seller in the way for Audia at 150. If we get an expansion of volume here, we might be able to blast right through it. But we're not getting that volume expansion. Socket is halted to the downside now after opening and printing slightly higher. Stakeholder, looks like this is taken off now, or trying to push through the session high.
That's STKH.
Yep.
Ondas partnered with the Jacksonville Jaguars for counter drone measures as well. I assume we're going to see more of that personally. Palantir higher. Velo might be trying to go higher.
All right.
CLRO. Go ahead.
Apparently, Redwire also has partnered with the Washington Commanders, not just ARCAT. I was just looking to see which NFL teams have partnered with drone companies. As was mentioned, Ondas with Jacksonville, Red Cat with Washington. Let's see what's next.
Let's see if any of those partner with more teams. Because, one of the other things that we talked about regarding the whole entire drone theme was going to be the Olympics, right? Coming to LA. And so I wonder if you start partnering with some of those teams, if you get proof of concept done ahead of the Olympics itself.
Stakeholder, by the way, that's halted now to the upside. Looks like Jowl
through the VWAP, by the way.
Looks like Jowl is also trying to recover its VWAP. It's making its way above it right now. And we have Audia. It got rejected at 140, so it's lower now.
That's AUUD, right? Which I can see here. AUD rejected by its VWAP there still. You guys are talking about Sezzle. That's the buy now, pay later. That had earnings last week. Interesting. So this is at a resistance area here. Maybe we get a little bit of a rebound above 130, Eric. So it looks like you were in out of the gate 122. So it looks like you were on a break of the pre-market high here. This to me actually looks like a resistance area. And I think your spot above 132 probably lights this a little bit more. God, is the market even open?
It feels very slow, doesn't it?
It does feel slow. And I have like no edge on IWM, Qs, or SPY. Very, very neutral kind of open here.
Yeah, that Sezzle chart, we just opened, so there's a whole lot of day left, but it'll be interesting to see how this closes relative to the candle from Friday. That was a massive, and it wasn't necessarily a bad report, but that was just such a weird guide. They literally it was like $25,000 higher than the previous guide. It's just like, really? And unless there was some kind of mistake, but it was just a super strange guide. And that's, I think, the reason why it came down as hard as it did.
EKS saying Benzinga, no mention of VFF. Plus 17% on earnings, 10 PE, profitable pot company. I have an oversized position at 63 cents per share, started back last year. Okay, so you like Village Farms here. Looks like they did have earnings here today, and they are higher by 17%. EKS, sorry we didn't cover this one. This does look like a good beat here, though. Here, let's see what the PR has for this. Let me actually go through this a little bit.
It makes most of its money from selling weed in Canada. It does have operations, in Netherlands and apparently Texas, but they're not growing weed out here. It's probably just the vegetables that they grow out here. Or hemp.
Jay mentioning Vivek, that's coming back. Look at Vivicor.
Jeez. They had news.
Wow. So this Village Farms report is a well-balanced, strong report showing genuine operational improvement rather than just top-line growth. EKS found an actual weed guy doing better. Listen to this. Consolidated net sales plus 7% year over year change. Cannabis segment net sales plus 5%. Cannabis growth margins plus 9 points. So they're at 51% gross margins. Cannabis net income plus 21%. Cannabis adjusted EBITDA plus 16%. And export sales plus 74%. $73 million in cash when they closed the quarter.
And that's
This is actually, you're right, EKS. This is a good report.
and this is not Vivek. This was
no, sorry, I have the wrong ticker up. I'm sorry. This is VFF, the cannabis ticker that EKS brought up. Overall, this is a high quality, transparent report with margin expansion, EBITDA growth outpacing revenue growth, and a growing cash cushion. For a pot name, I'm surprised. EKS, good mention. Good mention.
Yeah.
UWMC, this is trying to bounce back after the blasting that it took on Thursday morning.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to touch that right now.
I don't blame you.
The most attractive thing about them, they got rid of, so I'm not touching it right now.
Archer, this did move back through its VWAP. And the SPYs tried to bounce here, although I did get sell. Actually just got a buy indicator there on the 0 DTE.
Looks like Jowl is pushing higher, coming up into some supply from earlier in the pre-market around the $5 area. Stakeholder
JWEL, the China name.
Yeah, stakeholder opened, went higher. 560 is the high. Audia, this is coming down to the 65 EMA. Clove, this thing bounced off of 450. It's very, very slow moving.
Clove.
Yeah. We have a halt in socket.
Stakeholder resumed. This went higher.
Yeah. 560.
Okay. It came right back in towards its VWAP.
Crude catching a bit, going to weigh us down a bit. Yeah, it's likely the case.
Sezzle shot up out of the gate there and immediately stopped. It looks like 128, by the way. Archer, that's still trying to push through its VWAP. Palantir still ripping out of the gate.
Wow.
What is?
Look at see Palantir here.
I have the next spot. Gosh, I have kind of a consolidation area right here, 178 to 185, but I have another area marked off from 189 to 194.
My next resistance level for Palantir is 181, but this is very extended right now.
Yeah, it sure is.
I don't think that there's going to, I mean, there could be some more upside here, but I don't know that there's a whole lot more before this thing has to cool off. It's quite a very big move here in the short period of time. So we haven't had an RSI this high since, what is this? About the same time last year. And it's funny that we bring this up. The move was very similar. We had just a big spike up over the, going into the middle of August, and then we just completely rolled over and went back down to 142 after hitting a high of 190. So if history is any form of a lesson for everybody, it's something to look at. That we're kind of repeating what we did last year. We gapped up into this run that we're going on, and then about mid-August, we started selling off. So just saying.
Okay. How's everyone doing out there? Happy Monday. Be sure to smash up the like and subscribe for this relatively blah so far market.
It is a very slow day.
Yeah, seems like that. Velo came in a little bit after hitting 1470.
All right.
Palo Alto still at the high. Bitcoin rolling over a little bit here early on. Bot's taking no trades. Bot sees nothing but chop.
Yeah, stakeholder trying to make another move here. It's still getting support from VWAP.
How about that ABCL that we looked at earlier? Okay, so this is up near its pre-market highs too, ABCL. I think if this breaks it, I mean, I think 10 probably coming here. GP Gary, good to see you. Tesla looking good for a move here. You think Tesla So this pulled a little bit out of the open. You think Tesla bounces and goes towards the high? Do see Tesla call flow on the back of this, Gary?
Remember with ABCL, we drew that trend line as a potential spot where the price might run.
Oh, shoot, that's right.
So it's not there yet, but if it's going to get there, it's likely going to print close to 11.
So we had that from right here, and that gives us this. There we go, 13. Thank you. Thank you.
Stakeholder about to break the pre-market highs, and there it just did. So if you are a stakeholder in Stakeholder, you are doing pretty well. The FBI is watching you. I don't think
the FBI is watching both of us.
Yeah, I don't think shorting SpaceX is necessarily a good idea. It's kind of one of these battleground stocks that could really put in some pain. I think I would want some more history, some trading history with SpaceX before I start figuring out where all the great short areas are. But personally, I'm not sure it's a great idea right now with how much excitement's revolved around it, and how a lot of people are being told to, don't sell, hold the line, keep the price high, this and that. To me, it just doesn't seem like a great idea. But you go ahead and give it a short, because if you've got the resistance levels locked down, then you should do all right. But personally, I'm not interested in shorting SpaceX. All right, let's see here. I don't know how you feel, Ryan.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, sorry, I was reading something off screen. I apologize. Regarding SpaceX here, and I think that just so you're aware of where our bias is, I think both of us and a lot of folks here in the chat are actually looking for a SpaceX long-term investment, but we want this lower. So I don't think shorting it is a good idea. I do think that it moves lower, but I struggle to be able to determine when that's gonna happen. We've been kind of outlining some of the different key dates that are coming here, like share lockup, earnings, things of that nature. And SpaceX has kind of moved against the grain. So no, I don't necessarily think shorting it is the best idea to go. What I'm trying to do for myself is I'm waiting till it gets hit, and then I'm going to try and dollar cost average for a longer term upside move. So shorting's not part of my investment thesis for SpaceX.
Yeah.
Even though I think it's going to move lower, I guess what I'm telling you here is, even though I think it's going to move lower, I don't feel confident in my ability to time that move, and I don't know how low it's going to go. So without having any type of plan on when or a target for a downside, I don't think shorting makes a whole lot of sense. That's just my own, like 13 was saying, that's just my own personal view on this. Keep in mind, I'm trying to go for a long eventually.
I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that have already shorted this and have probably done pretty well. Maybe some have not done so well.
We had a couple of those guests on, actually. Mark Petrino bought SpaceX puts that he shared with us. He did very well in that trade.
There you go.
And then it was Sami Abu Saad from T3 on the breakdown from the 135 share price. He outlined that trade plan perfectly when he came on last time. All right, SPY's trying to curl here. See if it moves up through VWAP here.
There was a mention of GP Gary was saying, well, he took his eyes off Berkshire. So that's BRKB. I'm sorry, BRK/B. And they had earnings. They posted earnings over the weekend. Looks like they're about to deploy cash. Unless that's referring to the Taylor Morrison deal. I haven't gone through this report, but this is what it's up on.
I didn't look through the report either. I did catch on CNBC earlier. They did sound like they were pretty happy with the Berkshire earnings there. Obviously, Warren's not, involved in the day-to-day anymore. It's Greg Abel now. The FBI is watching you too. Thanks. I shorted Intel, and I'm pretty happy with the market right now. Yeah, so here's Intel. So we talked about this earlier. Intel actually tried to bounce, couldn't get back above its VWAP. I actually think Intel might try lower here if it ends up breaking 96.
This was a good short because this was really easy too, because whenever you have a stock offering that dilutes the shares of the company, that's almost always going to send it down. That was a good short.
SPY, I do see a couple of wicks up to the VWAP on the S&P futures chart, but obviously it cannot maintain any strength. SPY selling off now. We'll see if 772 holds it or if we set some new lows here on the SPY.
I'm still waiting for 771 as support.
Gotcha.
Clove recovering. It's very, very slow moving, but it's almost back up to the open.
So this basically held the low from Thursday. Yep. So this basically held the low from Thursday, folks, on Clove.
One company that's been getting some attention here, POW. They had earnings and they are up 20%.
What is the ticker?
POWW. This is indicating that there is an increase in firearms, not necessarily sales, but transfers. I think that we've been looking at SWBI and RGR recently, and this is one of the themes that Hakeem, I believe, was talking about, or part of one of his themes, the firearms. So. Maybe keep a close eye on the gun names.
Well, let's check what some of the. So that's POWW. Ruger here is going to be RGR. That actually looks like it's down a little bit. Smith & Wesson is SWBI. That's also down. So it looks like this move here is exclusive to POW so far. But that is a nice 19% move, honestly.
Yeah, they had some pretty good earnings, turning things around with their gunbroker.com site. When it comes looking at RGR stock, this is kind of sideways. We had a volatile time in October and November into December. Just kind of whipped around, and now we're just back to going sideways, just underneath 40. All right, let's take a look here at some of these.
Yeah, I'm just going to run through a couple. I don't really have anything on the radar here, 13. I'm sorry.
It's not great right now. Unless you. So go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say what it's not. It feels like it's not great for like new opportunities. Like that's I don't see like nothing's really falling apart here, but I don't really see any new good trading opportunities. The bot doesn't either, for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, I mean, AUD might provide one here. It just got support from the 65 EMA. We'll see if it goes to the VWAP and beyond. But volume needs to be better in this one. There was a mention here by GP Gary saying that Pew, which is Graviton, that might also be interesting. They have earnings in a few days, so this one could be one to keep an eye on for that earnings print. Looks like if it's a good earnings print, you're going to $3.
Palantir still holding near 177 off that push higher.
Let's see. Looks like Jowl is losing the 65 EMA again. This thing is, I don't know about this thing because it seems like there's going to be just this rush to pick it up and then take it for a ride again because it's it's low float, China name, but looking kind of weak right now. Not really sure I want to mess with that one. Stakeholder Foods, I must have missed the unhalt because it halted up at 629, and then it went into an unhalt, went down to VWAP, and halted again. So that must have been a blink and you'll miss it moment. Clove still climbing back up towards its open.
Joby, this is actually moving higher on the back of that Archer news. Both of those look all right here today.
Yeah, I think they're both going to do fine, Archer and Joby.
And the S&P futures are trading back up to VWAP right here. So I would watch to see if S&P futures can move through VWAP. It has really struggled to get through and stay through the VWAP. This is what the SPY looks like.
I don't know how to trade socket with how many halts it goes through, but look at the price action. I don't know what to do with this one. You don't have any time really. You just got to set your levels and then hope that one of them gets hit.
God, it resumes for 30 seconds at a time, it looks like, based on the halt log.
Yeah, it's probably spending more time going into and out of the halts than it is trading. Who's the last person that you have on the chat? Because it looks like the chat has stopped moving for me.
Yeah, the last comment no, there we go.
Okay, there we go. All right. Now I just got
Benzinga, lots of ads again. Let me ask the producer.
Oh, Clove back up to its open. So that was pretty good.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Both the ES and the NQ are caught in the 1 minute opening candle. Watch for the break and hold. Okay, so interesting. So that makes a lot of sense, Anne-Marie, because my bot is, I've kind of programmed my bot to really only kind of go after if there's an edge and to kind of ignore trades when there's chop. And if we're stuck between that 1 minute opening candle, we're not getting any of those signals. So this all jives here, at least so far.
Okay, so with Clove hitting the open, I mean, that could have been the whole trade right there. I don't know what to expect from it next. Maybe there's some selling coming since we're, this area that it went up to is a bit of a supply zone. So if this is going to get rejected at the 200 EMA on the 5 minute, then I would think that the price is going to come back down towards the VWAP looking for support. So we'll see what ends up happening with Clove. It's very, very slow moving, but we did get that return to the open. So that's good news.
Video watch online saying, how's the bot doing? So the bot has had three going into today. It's had three. Yeah, let me go to it. 13. Sorry thank you for mentioning that, by the way. Mm-hmm. The bot has had 3 days of real money. First day, it was green by like $320. Second day, it was red by like $360. And the third day, it was green by like $40. So it's about scratch. But one of the things that I noticed over the course of those 3 days was that the market kind of didn't have a great trend day. And as a result, the win rate was low because it would keep trying to trade stuff that was curling and then it would get stopped out. And again, what I realized was it was trying to trade too much during chop times. So I instituted a gate where if it's choppy and there's no edge, just don't take new trades. Wait for a trend in that direction. I don't have one here. So my hope is to make this so that I can just hit start and hit stop and not like babysit it on a day where the market is getting pounded or anything like that. That's obviously going to take some more time. But I would say so far, so good. XHLD getting mentioned by Jacob. That's 10 holdings. Okay, so that did spike a little bit and come back in.
Did the kids drop out of school? No, it actually starts tomorrow.
Okay, so that was fast. So the bot just scalped the Qs for $10.
Enjoy your lunch.
I don't even know if I can get lunch with the way inflation is. But that's good. That at least gives me some data here, so I'll look into that. Bot also just took a trade on Broadcom right here.
It likes Broadcom, doesn't it?
And it actually got stopped out on. Interesting. It got stopped out for a gain. So the bot's green by $23 today.
Don't touch it.
Okay.
Let it do its trade.
No, that was also a huge lesson that I learned from last week. Yeah. Gotta let it do its thing. Lion says, have a great day. Lion, you said hello and have a great day and nothing else. So I hope all things are good in your corner of the world, buddy.
Well, see you later.
See ya later. Lily getting mentioned. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, looks like Velo is climbing back up higher into the 14 handle. It's 14.22 right now after coming down to near 14 even.
Lily. So I'd be curious to know on Lily here. We had a nice little move higher. We came back and back tested the what looks like 1198 level. And now it looks like we're moving higher. Think we can go to 1220 today? It's only 12 more points from where we're at. This actually looks like it's strong here today. Volume doesn't look terrible either on Lilly.
Truist believes that it's worth 1376.
Okay. That was a new price target this morning.
Yep. Released about an hour, a little more than an hour ago.
1376. Yep.
Yep. Let's see what else is going on here. It looks like inflection's trying to climb back over 12. Socket, I can't trade these candles. It's barely open at a time when so I wish I could trade this one, but I can't. Just don't want to touch it. Looks like stakeholders still getting some support from VWAP. What's up?
Have you even looked at the level 2 on Socket? I haven't. Part of me is a bit afraid here. Let's see what this looks like. Dude, this is going to be halted again, 164. Yeah, 13. I think the smartest move here is to not trade this one.
Right. I don't know what I'm going to be able to get out of this because it just goes into a halt the moment it comes, it opens. And I don't know what kind of price action I'll get in that small window of time. I mean, you could just predetermine where you want your levels at and hope that they hit. But I feel like you're gambling a lot more with this one.
Yeah, this to me seems like a no touch 13. Lion here says, Ryan, I trade futures early. I made over $4,000 and I made 3,600 on Lilly calls and I'm done, brother. I can't argue with you. If you're done this early I'm enjoying the Smoky Mountains. Okay. Alvin King says, you guys don't do credit spreads or sell options. So this is such a good question here. So normally for the segment that you're watching right now, no, we normally don't. We're normally trying to scalp. We're normally trying to kind of look at what the different stocks are doing, figure out why, figure out if it makes a good trade, et cetera, et cetera. But Tuesdays and Fridays, we bring on our option expert, Anne Marie, and I would say that she describes herself as a serial option seller. So I would say from, yes, here we go. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Yeah, we do. So I would say from 10:30 to 11, Tuesday to Friday, you definitely want to be locked in here. Anne-Marie gives away trades there. Anne-Marie, how often would you say you do credit spreads? I know you do more condors and butterflies, but you often do spreads. If you can give a more accurate answer on how often they're for Alvin, that would be helpful. Alvin, we do some of this, though. You're still in the right place.
There was a mention of CrowdStrike going higher, and it certainly is up over 5% today. I think a lot of cybersecurity names are up today. Palo Alto is up. I think it may be on the back of Cloudflare's earnings. That's not up as nearly as much as these other ones are, but it appears that cybersecurity is maybe because Cloudflare's had an offering proposed, but Palo Alto and CrowdStrike, those are up pretty significantly here this morning.
CrowdStrike up 5+% here. It's looking pretty good. Big B is mentioning Datadog. That's DDOG.
There's another one. A lot of the internet names, the software and internet names are doing pretty good here.
So is it something software specific? Let's take a look. That's basically flat. How's Microsoft doing after its banger week last week? Up another 1.5% here today.
So we're on the other side of 500.
Yep.
Look at this chart because I was expecting there to be a little bit more pullback in Microsoft. Let me see where this is at. I was thinking that Microsoft is due to come back into 465 for support. The thing is, it's very extended right now. Microsoft's not a buy up here today.
Okay.
I just don't think it is. Look at the daily RSI. We're just way extended right now. So I think I would wait for this price to come back in at Microsoft for it to be a buy.
Okay. Anne-Marie says, we run cycles, so the credit spreads are pretty routine. The current regime is significant volatility, so setting them up are quite price sensitive. There you go, Alvin. Thanks, Anne-Marie.
Waiting to see if Audia gets any volume here. It's been holding the 65 EMA. Looks like it's trying to turn around here and recover VWAP. It's not a micro float, but it's not a heavy float either. So this is the one that's trying to go through that merger. We'll see if this does anything, but it looks like it's been holding up the 65 EMA pretty well. So we'll see if there's some volume expansion that takes it back up through the VWAP.
Did you guys over the course of the weekend see that video of the guy that was recording on the golf course and got struck by lightning?
Heard about somebody getting struck by lightning, but
yeah, this is actually crazy. This guy goes from laughing to not laughing awfully quick. This is actually this has nothing to do with the market, so I'm sorry for breaking the stride here, but this video is, well, I'll put it in the chat here. Wild stuff.
Okay. Now is it viewer discretion advised? Or is it too shocking?
No. You don't see anything bad. It's not disgusting. You're not going to lose your lunch. It's just like you realize what happened. Like, dude is under a tree videotaping, making fun of his friend, and then all of a sudden his arm gets struck by lightning.
Under a tree.
Holding a phone.
The lightning cloud said, "I'm picking up your signal, sir." Let's see. AVGO bot buy would have been a good bet after all. Nice pop here. I think what happened was it got stopped out though, so it was very, very quick, but he still made money off it.
Which one?
AVGO, your bot.
Yeah, that was just kind of a small thing. I do have some tight stops on some of these. The bot's currently in a cloud curl trade on Palantir, which is in the green, and it also bought Tesla here, which is also in the green. Here, for anyone that's interested, real quick, I'll give you an update. I did fix this, so the style sheet works better on PC.
Socket. We're not halting, but we're moving. Now it might go into a halt. As soon as it gets any kind of volume, it just starts going into a halt. And is it halted now?
I actually couldn't tell if you were.
I was waiting for it to halt.
It's going into a dramatic effect. Here's what the bot's at. I'm going to go back to Pro. You can see we actually do have a risk on gate now, so we should be making some more trades. Let me go back to Pro here real quick. Which one? It was Socket, right?
Yeah, now it's halted. There we go.
And there it is halted. It still doesn't even look like you can do anything with this.
It's ridiculous.
It is indeed.
All right, so Clove, after getting back up to the open, now looking a little weak, making its way towards VWAP. This is very slow moving. So waiting for Audia to do something that's pretty much been going sideways since it got down here at the 65 EMA. Sockets halted. ZJYL. This is down at 65. I'm sorry, it's a 200 EMA on the 5-minute, trying to get some support. Stakeholder not finished, and still above the VWAP, trying to break out beyond 630.
Oh, Palantir, go to new highs. That would be a great trade for the bot right there. Go to new highs, Palantir.
Where's it at now?
177-ish. It's just trying to break that 177.38 high.
Yeah, I think the time to get into this one was, is when it was breaking over 142. Not up here though. I don't think for even a trade, I'm not sure I'd even be interested up here. Very, very extended.
Did it just close Tesla for flat? That would be something. Let me check. It closed Tesla for flat. Interesting. Still in the Palantir trade, which is green.
Stakeholder pushing up again.
STKH.
SpaceX is trying to hold the 200 EMA. It's getting resistance from VWAP. It's kind of been getting suppressed by VWAP since we opened. Looks like the spot that it needs to hold is going to be that about 131 even.
SPY was a slow grind up here. So I did get multiple signals on the 0 DTE. Kind of a grind. I did get buy and sell signals there. Bot's trying to trade Tesla again.
The FBI is watching you too. I like Inflection. I think it's one of the better quantum names. I like Inflection, Ionic, and Continuum.
AEHL, that was one of the stocks that was halted earlier. That's open here. Did this do a reverse?
AHL.
Yep. 1 for 16. Yep.
Active today.
Yep. There you go. So there you go. Recent split. AEHL, it is plus 83% here. Ondas and Arcat still moving up. Drones should move up. That makes sense to me.
Oh yeah, Zscaler. That's another one of those. They are in cyber. Yeah, they're in cybersecurity.
Yeah, Zscaler is cybersecurity. Yep.
All those cyber. That must mean that ETFs like Hack and Bug must be doing pretty well today.
Yeah, Palo Alto is also higher here today, so that that's best in breed there.
Yeah, so Hack, Bug, both up over 3%. Let's go.
JWEL, this is Jewel or Jowl, which we called it earlier. This is that Chinese ripper. Done a whole lot of nothing so far here today.
Nope.
Maybe it's curling. I would be very untrustworthy with this stock, by the way.
Yeah, the volume's just kind of been fading after the first half hour of trading. We'll see if it turns around, but volume doesn't seem to be there right now.
AAOI, one of our optoelectronics here. This is moving higher here. Let's check in on Light. We also talked about a little bit earlier.
I'm compelled to go visit AAOI's building.
Yeah, it's so close to you. You might as well.
Mm-hmm.
Light, maybe this sold off out of the gate. Maybe this comes back. 7.4 earthquake near Columbia this morning.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Retro. Retro Wyoming. She changed you.
Because he's moving around in the summer. I like it.
Gotcha. I got All right. Okay. Well, it looks like stakeholders, trying to get back up over 6. Needs a little bit more volume. Socket trying to push through its VWAP at the moment.
Oh my God, is that staying open long enough to trade it?
It might be. We'll see. Unless it starts dropping here, and then it's going to go into a downside halt.
A new record on the day for that one.
And here we go. Now it's going to start to go into a downside halt.
And it's going to get halted there. Resumed at 10:13:42. We'll see if it gets halted and what that time is.
There it is.
10:14:27. It was open for almost a minute. It almost got there.
We are just setting records here.
Man. The FBI is watching you too. We cannot advise when you buy or sell. Neither of us are licensed. And as far as I'm aware, no one in the chat is licensed either. So we cannot advise what you do with your positions. Sorry.
Oh, Retro, that's great. We'd love to know more about that as you get the information, whatever you can disclose to us.
Palantir is still holding in there. Amazon is trading higher. I noticed we didn't see Izzy this morning. Amazon actually looks pretty decent. Palo Alto holding near the high. The VIX actually came in a little bit and is bouncing, but still that's not getting out of control.
Stakeholder might be pushing into new highs. There's a seller in the way at 6. If we get through that, I think we're looking at new highs.
And this is effectively the third or fourth test of this area today.
Yeah. So we'll see what it ends up doing here.
13. I'm sorry. I got to step away. Just one more sec. I'll be right back.
Handle it. All right. So you're saying SMCI should have a good report. This is. Are they done screwing around? Okay, there we go with a stakeholder. That just popped up to over 6, and it's going. Wow, what a move. And into a halt. Or almost into a halt. It looked like it was about to halt there. It's still moving. And it's still going. What a move. What a move. Anyway, so this is, I'm not sure if this is going to go into a halt or not. It looks like it stops and starts to go into a halt, and then it keeps moving. So just waiting to see what this does here. That was a nice break above 6. Fantastic move. Hopefully some folks caught that. I got a little piece, but I don't have it anymore. So we're just waiting for a socket to unhalt now. ZYJL, that's making its way up to 65 EMA. Clove is giving it all back after getting back up to the open. And stakeholder, that volatility seems to be slowing down a little bit here. No halts like it was looking like it was going to do. There may be some more upside, but I think we want to see 6 hold up now. You up 3.35%. Like to see it. I did trim a little bit when it hit 66. Still have 25% of my original position. I'm just going to let it ride.
For which one is this? I joined late. Sorry.
That was you. When you'd left, we were trading stakeholder. That blew past 6, went up to 678. Now it's trying to hold 6 right now.
Really good stuff on stakeholder there.
Yeah. So the robot killer got it. I took a little piece of that. That was a nice little pop that was looking, and it looks like we're not finished yet either because it just put in a slightly higher high. So stakeholder been pretty good this morning here. Looking for 7 now. Good stuff on stakeholder. And I'll just look at you. Wow, you. Yeah. So this one. Okay. So this one dropped down to near 50 before it turned around. So lots of selling on their earnings print.
What does this look like over the last several days, though?
It was they had their earnings print that it ran up into. We got it, and we sold right off out of the gate.
Yeah.
And we haven't turned around yet, but we have come down to some support areas in the low 50s. I think the next support level here beneath 52 would be 50. I have other support levels to the downside pretty significantly away from here, down at 44. I'm not convinced we're going to get down there again. But if we do, I'll be looking at picking some more up if we start to weaken, because I think this company is going to be great. Thanks for the info on the earthquake retro.
Yeah, I made a natural disaster column in X Pro that has a bunch of like automated as well as like manned X accounts that tweet when I see natural disasters. But I just simply missed that one in Colombia this morning. I do see some follow-up reports on that. I don't see any tsunami warning or anything, though.
SpaceX with a green candle right now. It's trying to curl back up. It's above VWAP. It's trying to recapture the 65 EMA. This candle probably it looks pretty notable, because if we are going to get back above the 65 EMA, we're going to be above the IPO price again. Hey, Judge.
Hey, Judge. Judge, just to check, I know you don't join us for happy hour. Are you going to be able to join for the happy hour fantasy football draft whenever we do that? It's not scheduled yet, so don't worry. And you're going to be active throughout the course of the year, I assume. I just want to make sure that that our members there are active. Sorry, 13, get in there.
It's okay. For the purpose of trading SpaceX, if this is what you're doing, just like an in and out for the day, not necessarily holding. If this manages to continue trading above the VWAP, I think we get to see the other side of 135.
That would be something.
Yeah, we have to hold VWAP, obviously, because if we start to lose that, then I think that it makes it less likely we'll be back up there today. But for the purpose of this current trade, and I'm on a 5-minute chart, if this holds VWAP, I would say for the next 10, 15 minutes, we're probably going to go through the 65 EMA. Could just do it, pretty soon here, actually. Still pushing up. Go ahead.
Big Bees was saying, starting to see the bifurcation in the market waiting. What specifically are you seeing, Big Bees, and what are you looking to trade off of that? Would be my follow-up question.
Stakeholder popped up to 710, came back in.
I'll tell you what, that was a really good play-by-play call on that move through 6. Took it a couple of attempts, but did it.
Yeah, looks like Jowl Global is trying to turn back up to the 65 EMA. There's a seller in the way at 392. So we're going to need to see a volume expansion if we're going to get rid of that seller, unless he just goes away.
Speaking of expansion here, we are seeing Palantir break its intraday highs there. Body McBotface loves this. Let's go higher. Target, by the way, from this trade, 178.96. If it hits target.
SpaceX still trying to push up to that 135 area. I'm not seeing too many other potential trades. Maybe Audia is trying to get back above its VWAP, but the volume needs to be better.
That was AUUD, right?
Yeah. Now we're getting some weakness in stakeholder. It's coming down to 6. If we lose 6, we're going to see VWAP. SpaceX on the doorstep of 135. Got a couple of sellers in the way that could prevent that 135 print. If we get enough volume, we're seeing it.
Oops. Come on. Come on. There we go.
Selena, I hope you're okay over there, and that you're not having any air quality problems. That's causing you. That's going to cause you to have to leave. Sorry to hear about all the fires, especially everybody all over North America, not just Canada, but United States as well.
I know, and I feel bad reading that because 13. I know we were complaining when the air quality was poor here. The reality, I mean, if you just take a step back, the reality is there was no danger of us evacuating our homes. Mm-hmm. So obviously, heart goes out to those that are evacuating their homes. Hopefully, everything's okay. Selena, I can't remember what area you're in. You said heavy smoke here from the fires west in British Columbia. I don't remember where you are. I can say here in Chicago, there's nothing. It's just we're kind of worried about some of the rain that we're supposed to get. But yeah, if you're affected by those fires, weren't we seeing them in Oregon? 13.
Washington is the one that had the worst.
Yeah.
Spokane. I texted you earlier, like as that was starting to become a thing, I was like, man, this is going to be bad. It's going to be the next Pacific Palisades. And it's very, very close to looking like that, unfortunately.
Yeah. Hope everybody's okay. That is some scary shit.
Well, actually, on a positive note, I have heard of 0 deaths being reported from that Spokane fire.
Good.
So it looks like everybody got the word out when they needed. They got evacuated when they needed, and unfortunately, the only loss was property.
Okay, let's see. Where are we at here? We've got about 6 minutes left here. The SPY did trade up. Looks like it backed off 774. Yeah, it's currently at 774, so it looks like it backed off 774 and change there. Looking around here, looks to be okay. Netflix, actually, this had a pretty good recovery. This was lower out of the open. I'm still not trading Netflix at all, but an interesting move nonetheless here for Netflix. Tesla looks like that's trying to go higher here. You were just going to talk about SpaceX, I think.
Yeah, because that was trying to push up to that 135 area. We got 15 cents away, and sellers started to come back in. We're above VWAP still. So there's still a chance that this pops over 135 as long as we hold VWAP, but we're coming down to test it right now. I have a little suspicion that we'll see buyers pick it up at that level. And we'll see what ends up happening here. But like I said, as long as we're holding VWAP, I think there's a chance that this pushes up to 135 and higher. ABCL might make another intraday high there. Let's take a look at ABCL.
Okay.
And I think we're still waiting for this to potentially hit 11 because it hasn't given back anything yet. But we did talk about how this high RSI name has basically come back in, or maybe gone sideways once it gets very extended like this into the overbought territory. So maybe we see 11, maybe we don't. But I would just lean on this chart's history as an indicator of where this could go next. It may go sideways, and it's more likely going to come back in at some point, as the history of the RSI and the chart has shown earlier this year.
Tesla getting mentioned here in the chat. The bot is still long Tesla, thankfully, because that looks like that's trying to break and go higher here.
Take care, Retro.
Take care of yourself, Retro. Enjoy.
So that privacy guy is mentioning that Zscaler is continuing its breakout. Alpha Trade bringing up Fastly. That's up significantly as well, 17 and change %. This actually looks like it's trying to get up to the trend line that started back in 2023 for Fastly. If you go to a daily chart, Ryan, and you should be able to see 2023, the two highs from September and then February of 2024. I used those two highs to draw a trend line. We hit that trend line in April this year, massively sold off, and now we're coming back up after testing the 200-day SMA.
I remember this trend line. I actually think I drew this trend line. Let me see if I got more of my chart here in my main workspace, but I am almost certain I drew this trend line on the bigger chart that I had there.
Okay.
So I don't have the 2023 stuff in here, but man, I remember doing this 13. I remember doing this.
Try something for me. Try something for me and go back to that daily chart with Fastly.
Here it is, 13.
And now you got it. Okay, there it is. Yeah.
I knew we did this.
Also, Audia is trying to work its way through the VWAP, so keep an eye on that one for potential trade. But yes, as far as Fastly goes, that would be the big resistance area. I'd be keeping an eye on that trend line, and maybe even 32. 32 looks like a tough spot for upward price action as well. Okay, Audia, it's looking like it's trying to make a move here. We'll see if it can get through VWAP on its way to 140, where it was rejected earlier today.
Okay. Zach here saying, Ryan, you should test a momentum trading setting for body McBotface. So this was pretty much the big change from yesterday, or excuse me, from last week. I absolutely did that. So I developed a couple of indicators here, one for the SPY, one for the Qs, one for the IWM, to determine if it's in a bull regime, a bear regime, a crash tape regime, an extended regime, or if it's just going to chop, or if it's going to be in trend. And then I have a composite gate here that I've called index gate that looks at the SPY and the Qs. So the way this works, first of all, is that the zero DTE strategy, if it's zero DTE trading SPY, it looks at SPY. If all things are a go here, it executes new trades. If it's the zero DTE looking at Qs, it looks at Qs. If all things are go, it executes Qs trades. For the cloud trades, the MTF cloud, which stands for multi-time frame cloud, and the cloud curl here, it actually uses the index gate. If there's no edge or if it's mixed, it won't enter because it doesn't want to get stopped out and chopped up. And if there is a edge there, it will enter trades, and it will also determine the exit of those trades. So this was a big change from last week. You can see it is absolutely working here. We caught Tesla, we caught Palantir. These trades are running. The bot is not stopping too early. This is what I would be doing if I was manually trading these names. I'd already be out too early. The bot is letting them run and staying in them. So that was a huge change from last week, Zach. It's my hope that this allows me to run this every day, no matter what the market is doing. We'll see how we finish up here today.
Okay, so SpaceX, we did get our 135 print. We couldn't recapture the 65 EMA, but we popped up and went as high as 135.43. Still above VWAP. So as long as we continue to hold that, there's still a chance that we can see the price push and close over the 65 EMA. But we did get a little piece of what we were looking for here. So next, we just need that VWAP to hold up. Meanwhile, Audia is trading above its VWAP, trying to push higher. And then also there was a mention that socket is halted. You know, don't sound surprised.
I was gonna say
here's the thing: there. It's halted as it popped up over the VWAP. So this could be a recapture that leads to some continued upside here. So this could be significant here for socket. It's gonna be. We need to see what happens out of the halt here. 225 is a resistance area because it was previously support in the pre-market. We lost that out of the after. Trading above it for a few minutes, and it's become resistance now. So if we can get back above 225, we should see some more higher prints.
Okay. All right. 13, we're out of time here for today. Really good stuff to kick off the week. I know it was a little slow early on, but we got some more action there. Any closing words for the group?
Well, let's see what we have this week here. We don't have all the big exciting names from earnings, but we will get some more of those names later on this month. I'm not sure what to make of this week. We're just going to kind of have to play it by ear. So we'll just go through the darkness together, folks. I'll be back here as soon as I can. I don't know what time tomorrow, but I'll be back if I can. Just, hey, stay green, and I'll see you later. Take care.
All right, you heard it here. I see Anne-Marie out there. Look, 13 doesn't know, so you know what, Anne-Marie? We might see you a little early tomorrow. Just throwing it out there. We'll see. Folks, really good stuff here today. Have a great rest of your Monday. Don't get overstretched. Always think about your risk first when it comes to these trades. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. Have a great rest of your Monday. We'll check in with you again tomorrow. Take care, everybody.